Welcome to Supply Chain Now, the voice of global supply chain. Supply Chain Now focuses on the best in the business for our worldwide audience, the people, the technologies, the best practices, and today's critical issues, the challenges and opportunities. Stay tuned to hear from those making global business happen right here on Supply Chain Now.
Hey, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. I'm reversing the order a little bit, Jake. Scott Luton, Jake Barr here with you on Supply Chain Now. Jake, how you doing today?
I'm doing wonderfully. I've already hit the candy early. I'm juiced and ready to go. It's not trick or treat. It's really a treat to be able to talk digitization.
I'm with you. And man, you got the good stuff. That's not wax lips or licorice. You got the good candy here today.
That's right.
Well, big show, big show here today. We're dialing in on an exceptional story of growth and innovation. And we all know the complex, world-class obstacle course that is global supply chain. Multiply that times the particular unique challenges you'll find in the trade show and alcohol logistics sector, right? Well, folks, we're going to be featuring the story of how one company has been winning by implementing real-time tracking and visibility across its entire supply chain. One of my favorites, eliminating manual work and process, much to the joy of their team, improved billing turnaround, and absolutely delighting their customers. All that and a whole bunch more. So stay tuned for a great story of an effective partnership between BWS Logistics and Turvo. Jake, we've been looking forward to this conversation here today, huh?
Absolutely. There is nothing better than watching how digitization can actually transform a company.
Okay, Jake, it's time to get to work. I want to bring in our featured guests here today, starting with Craig Allan, president with BWS Logistics, and our dear friend, Sam Foley, chief growth officer with Turvo. Hey, Sam, great to have you back. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Wonderful. And Craig, wonderful to have you here with us. How you doing?
Great to be here. Thanks, Scott.
You bet. So we had a lively pre-show session, Jake. We touched on all kinds of things from supply chain to basketball to travel. And I wanted to ask just a couple of fun warm-up questions with our panelists here. And Craig, I want to start with you talking about basketball. So you're a massive Rutgers basketball fan, one of the biggest this side of the Mississippi out here. So make a bold prediction, if you would, about the season that's coming up and what's Rutgers going to do?
I'm going to say that the bold projection, they're going to play for the Big Ten championship, surprise some folks, and potentially even make the Sweet 16 in the tournament this year.
Okay.
There you go. That's what I like.
I like it. Now, Jake, a lot of folks may know or may not know you played ball.
Buy the ticket, get the Vegas odds in your favor right now.
So, Jake, as a fellow basketball aficionado, can you get behind Craig's bold predictions there?
Absolutely. Infusion of talent will always work. They've got great talent.
Love that. There's a supply chain analogy there as well. But good stuff, Craig. Looking forward to seeing Rutgers make it happen. And Sam, a little different question for you. We've done our homework, and we hear that you had recently had a great trip earlier in the year to the beautiful locale of Belize. Tell us about the trip. What's one of your favorite aspects of your trip?
It's such a great place to visit. Warm and tropical, beach vibes, the people, the food, nothing is bad. Go visit if you've got time. It was so much fun.
Oh, I love that. Nothing is bad. And Jake, she was also telling us in the pre-show about Secret Beach, which is one of the places to go there in Belize. And
Great place to go and unplug.
That's right. That is right. It's beautiful, wonderful people, wonderful food. Sounds like a beautiful place to be. So I hope to check that out soon. All right. So Craig and Sam, great to have you both. Thanks for sharing a little bit about the years that have been. So Craig, if you would, let's level set a little bit more here. So if you would tell us briefly about your background as well as BWS Logistics.
Yeah, I've been in logistics now for over 20 years, both on the 3PL service side and the shipper side. So I've seen a lot of different parts of this business. And BWS was started in 2018. We've enjoyed really great growth over those years since we started. And, we're just looking to the future and to leverage great technology as we move forward.
Oh, that's right. The golden age of technology in many ways. And Jake, he's been on a variety of sides of the table, been in the industry for quite some time. What'd you hear there, Jake? And have you heard of BWS, by the way?
Absolutely. It takes a village to run the supply chain. Fundamentally, there's a role for virtually any player out there because supply chain's gainful lifetime employment, the mass and size of the transactional movements across whatever vertical that we want to talk about, there simply aren't enough quality players.
That's right. And it's also fertile ground for entrepreneurs. I love that element of the discussion here today as well. So, Craig, thanks for sharing. Sam, now we've enjoyed a variety of conversations with the Turvo team that's been on the move going back for years now. But for our newer audience members, if you would share a little bit about your background and in a nutshell, what Turvo does.
Sure. So I am the Chief Growth Officer at Turvo. I've been in enterprise software SaaS solutions for 18 years, the last 5 with Turvo. It's been such a fun journey to watch the company grow. Turvo provides modern and truly collaborative TMS solutions to the world's leading brokers and 3PLs, one of those being BWS. And I'm super excited for you guys to hear their story today.
We are too. I tell you, and the pre-show conversations have been really intriguing and informative, and I'm looking forward to sharing that all with our audience here today. Now, Craig, incredible transformation. We're going to dive into this from a variety of different perspectives, but let's start with the why. Right, one of my favorite places to start. So, Craig, what prompted BWS to kick off this big chapter of change?
So we were with a big, legacy TMS system because, and we'll talk about later, multi-leg shipping is a bit more technical of a delivery of a move. So we weren't gaining the efficiencies that we needed with our current system. So we started to look around, really started to dig into kind of the newer architecture out there. And we looked at about 30, 35 systems and, we did a deep dive, probably almost too deep, but when we look at it, we needed connectivity, we needed efficiency, we needed to bring these things to us, but also to our customer as far as visibility is concerned. So that's really what prompted us to do this is to really get a full scope of what was on offer out there to hopefully bring our tech stack into the 2020s.
I love that, Craig. And one element, Jake, that I really love about that is doing their due diligence on 30 and to 35 different options. That was quite a thorough selection process. But what'd you hear there, Jake?
I heard fourth decimal point engineer, which I love. Okay. But fundamentally, what you got to realize is this is an absolute necessity because in today's environment, we make light of the fact, but just to manage something like Halloween, right, is millions of movements that are going across vendors and storefronts and channels. And we seem to constantly forget that transportation moves and the fulfillment of any service solution out in the marketplace is managed by a village. I mean, fundamentally, you can put the top 10 shippers together in a North American context, which has more freight than any continent on the planet, right? And that still only constitutes about 12% of total moves. So when Craig's talking about, wait a minute, I needed a better platform to actually not only help me drive my efficiencies at a smaller scale, but to connect to my clients, right? That's big.
Yeah, big. Sam, that's got to be music to your ears, hearing that why, hearing how thorough of a job they did and really kicking tires and finding the right option for them, for their business, for where they wanted to go. Your thoughts on the why, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously exciting that they chose to partner with Turvo, and it's been a great run. I think that, Craig and I prepping for this, we talked a lot, and part of that conversation was around everything centered around the BWS customer experience. And you heard him say that, right? You heard him talk about providing that visibility and the right experience to his end customers, which they share that in common with Turvo. So not only was it a good fit from a tech standpoint, from a vision standpoint, and having the customer at the center and the core of the decision that they made, I think brought them closer to kind of the Turvo way of life, if you will, because customers are at the center of what we do. And so it was a great partnership kind of from the very beginning.
I love that. I love how the customers are the North Star for sure. And you mentioned kind of the have it your way. So folks, if you've seen the title, we say visibility your way. So we may be working in a BK commercial as we work through the story, because it really is to the customers, hey, have it your way, right? Have it your way. So
Hey, Scott,
yeah,
the flexibility of the technical stack is everything. Because unfortunately, the space that Sam and the team play in, Craig outlined, wait a minute, we had a solution. Unfortunately, some of the installed base that's out there has what I refer to as so much technical debt. And what do I mean by that? I mean, the architectures are structured in such a way that they simply can't flex to the connectivity and the integration and the services that you need to provide to your client basing anymore. And you just can't kind of nut and bolt and wire them onto the existing framework. So the stat structure is critical.
Jake, excellent point. And of course, you've been there and done it, moving mountains in the industry for over 30 years as a supply chain Hall of Famer. So I appreciate that important call out. All right, so let's keep driving in to this transition and this new chapter you are building, Craig, and all the success you're having. So we want to start. You mentioned multi-leg shipments a minute ago, right? And as a lot of folks, our smartest audience, all of supply chain knows, that involves multiple transportation modes, lots of heightened complexity. Craig, tell us about how BWS streamlined its multi-leg shipments to make big gains in productivity.
It comes down to operator visibility and basically efficiency, which I basically call clicks, right? That the operator has to make. So in our previous system, it was a lot of clicks. The visibility, you had to jump into different screens, that sort of thing. So when we got connected with Turvo, we really saw that the efficiency was there, where we cut down dramatically on operator clicks, and they had all the information at their fingertips. And it was really with drop down boxes and that type of thing, that they gave them a full kind of scope of each individual shipment, because there could be 2 or 3 different legs on each of these shipments. And then to be able to just to pull all those together and deliver them to the final destination in a different type of mode, whether it's intermodal or over the road, was kind of a game changer for us in that space.
It sounds like it. Taking the complex and taking as much friction out of it and as much simplicity into it as possible. And I love the click analogy you're sharing, Craig. Not really an analogy, but because we all want to get down to one click if we can. Sam, what'd you hear there in terms of how they were able to streamline those multi-leg shipments?
Yeah, just giving them the ability. We specialize in software, they specialize in logistics. Now they have the ability to streamline and focus on their core competency. They're not spending time on manual process. They're reducing phone calls. They're reducing swivel chairing in and out of multiple tabs and systems, right? It's that single pane of glass experience. And I think that's what Turvo provides, that, Craig, coming from a legacy player, a lot of the legacy TMSs or even just adjacent supply chain technologies are really dated, right? And I think that having the ability to move into this collaborative environment where you can connect with all those people that are outside of the 4 walls of your business and bring them in and have one place to do it makes business so much better for your team, for your customers, for everyone.
Beautifully said, Sam. Jake, when you heard about Craig and Sam's, both of their responses there in terms of finding heightened productivity by handling multi-leg shipments easier and more successfully, what'd you hear?
Simple statement. It's not your grandfather's TMS any longer.
Hmm.
That's not the expectation, right? The game has changed. The level of service and accountability, the need for interacting and involving and collaborating, as Sam mentioned, with other partners in the ecosystem, right, is far different than what we had expectations of some base solution sets in the past. And this capability is just table stakes. It's fundamental for how you're needing to conduct business.
Yep. Well said, Jake. And I love Sam. Also, one thing she mentioned there is be specialists in the right areas, right? I think that's so important to focus on those core competencies. And it can be so appealing for so many business leaders to kind of pull this in and pull this in. But I love, Sam, your statement about, specialize in your business. So important. All right, let's shift gears here, Craig. I want to talk to you about how your team was able to leverage Turvo's open API to really make big improvements, especially to tracking and visibility. Your thoughts there, Craig?
Yeah, there are multiple kind of telematics providers and other visibility providers that are already integrated with Turvo. So we had a great, kind of range of selections to make, and all it really was flicking a switch with that. And that gives us and our customers full visibility with the shipments that are out there moving around. And then just having the open API in general is a huge win for us because we can hook into any of our customer systems if they so, if they want, or we can create our own, basically data pull from Turvo from the fields that are accessible to us for not thousands and tens of thousands of dollars like a legacy system we happen to have had where we would have spent a fortune doing that. Now it's managed at a much more cost effective rate. And again, it provides us and our customer, because we always kind of keep that in the back of our mind when we're doing anything. It gives them that peace of mind that they're going to have access to what they need to have access to on a minute by minute, day by day, month by month basis.
I love that, Craig. Give the people not only what they want, but what they need to do their jobs better and make it happen in a more rewarding, fulfilling way, easier way. All right, Sam, I got to ask you this though. Craig used that phrase, as easy as flipping a switch. It can't be that easy, Sam. But what else did you hear there from Craig?
No, any of our integrations, it is that easy. We have a really powerful part of our application called Integration Hub. And it's where we're constantly finding cool new tech, leading edge supply chain tech. We bring it into Integration Hub. It's as quick as literally keying in your credentials, right? So if you think about it, an app store for supply chain. That's the vision for Integration Hub, and we're working towards that vision. And Craig and his team are already leveraging Integration Hub to get some of the benefits of that. It's super powerful. It's not just collaboration at Turvo. When we talk about collaboration, it's not just about connecting your teams and the people outside of your four walls and the people you're doing business with. It's also bringing all that tech together in one place so you have one view of your business. And with Integration Hub, what Craig is talking about, he now has all of the data and analytics, not just in Turvo, but also within those adjacent technologies that he needs to really understand where he is at any point in time, whether that's where's the shipment or what's my margin, right? And so it's pretty powerful.
Undoubtedly. And I tell you, Jake, I could get behind the app store for supply chain. That is a brilliant idea. But what'd you hear there, Jake, between Craig and Sam?
Actually, that's where everything is going. I mean, Scott, that's the fundamental. It's not only on the collaboration, it's on how you think about the stickiness of pulling data from disparate operating platforms and technology bases, some of which could be very old and legacy, and the way you unlock the value of being able to harness and use the information to actually go make decisions.
Yeah. Love that, Jake. Making those decisions faster, better, more confident. Every team wants that ability to do that. So good stuff there, Jake. So we were talking a second ago, Craig, about tracking, right? So talking about tracking, how have you been able to utilize real-time container tracking, especially when it comes to better managing those time-sensitive drayage cycles, Craig? Tell us more.
Yeah, we do a lot of drayage work for our customers, and we teamed up with a company called OpenTrack. It's integrated into the Turvo platform. Not quite real time tracking, but it gives you an update. So, if the vessel's supposed to arrive on November 1st, generally within a few hours of the update from the steamship line, we know that it's been pushed out to the third or the fourth. So we can react to that with our dray partner capacity and make sure that we slide that down the kind of list there to make sure that we pull it as soon as it's available after it's released. So again, these type of integrations and this type of visibility are game changers for us, especially when it comes to containers arriving to port when they're released, all the things that you need to make sure that you're pulling containers within free time and saving the customer time and money.
So, Jake, I'll come to you before I go to Sam here. You heard Craig say all of that. This has been a game changer for them. What'd you hear that maybe more folks that maybe aren't as involved in operations like BWS need to understand about why this is such a game changer for the business?
What Craig just distilled down in 30 seconds for you was the work activities that a minimum of 3 different people would need to do. And he gave you how he's dynamically rescheduling without having to have 3 different people do manual operations. So your takeaway is I actually have the ability to be in control of the chaos instead of letting the chaos control me.
I love that. Sam, I love that. Any ability to control chaos in this day and age, supply chain or otherwise, is a great thing. But also, Jake spoke about something we're going to talk more about in a second, is getting rid of a lot of the manual work and really empowering the people to do enhanced, more fulfilling work, more meaningful work. But Sam, what'd you hear there in Craig's response?
For Craig and his team, I think it was so critical to reduce some of that manual work because of the time sensitivity of their line of business, right? They're moving either trade show equipment, which is, you guys know, you have a window of time that things have to get there, or they're moving alcoholic beverages. Those things have to hit docks at a certain time. They have to be on containers at a certain time. And so eliminating some of the manual process, reducing the number of touch points, makes them much more efficient and streamlines the process. And for his team, I think that was such a huge gain.
Scott, just to build on that real quick, we literally had somebody before this. All they did all day was open up steamship line websites and terminal websites to look at this. That's literally all day long they did. We were able to redirect them to other functions. The only time we ever look at anything like that is if it's something that's super, super hot that we literally have to refresh every minute just to make sure that it's happening.
The green screens of death
Yeah.
is what I call them, right?
Yep.
And who wants to do that? They need more time, like you do, Scott, to actually be prepared to give out candy and to dress up as a giant crayon like you once did, right?
So, um, I really appreciate, Craig, reducing manual work, right? Automating the blocking and tackling. That's some of my favorite elements of the story. So we can give time back to our people, right? And we can change the nature of their jobs, right? So Craig and Sam and Jake, appreciate y'all's color commentary there. Let's talk about this, Craig. One of my favorites here, reducing billing turnaround time. Get this, folks, from 3 days to mere minutes. So, Craig, how did that work? Tell us about the impact it had.
Yeah. So one of our biggest customers, we have to, send to their billing system. Doing it manually was super complex. We had to plug everything in every time. It took like 10, 15 minutes an invoice, and sometimes depending on how many items were on the invoice. So what we did is we utilized Turvo's open API, an integration partner, and we connected EDI to their billing platform. So now something that took 10 to 15 minutes an invoice takes seconds. So we mass update and upload through EDI connectivity. And it literally every week took one of our people 3 days to bill.
Mm.
And now it takes maybe 10 minutes, depending on the size of the batch that we run.
Oh, Craig.
I hear a cash register ring, Scott. That's what we call cash flow,
Oh,
positive cash flow.
absolutely. And I love that. 3 days to mere minutes, Craig. And as great as that is for the operation and cash flow, as Jake's pointing out,
Mhm.
again, I love the impact on that person's role and how it made their life easier. Sam, comment there on that massive billing turnaround.
Obviously, what a success story, right? And I'm sure that your accounting person gave you a hug the day that the switch was made, Craig. But it goes back to the open API, right? The scalable nature of Turbo's platform. And I think that's been a running theme. When Craig talked about ocean tracking, he's doing that through our partnership with OpenTrack, right? And the integration there. So across all these different points of efficiencies gained, there's the platform in the background that's connected somewhere else. And that's what's so powerful about Turbo. So it's been really cool and unique to see Craig pull this all together with the BWS team and bring it all into Turbo and have that success and gain those efficiencies.
Agreed, Sam. And Jake, one of the themes throughout the first half of this conversation has been, the connectivity, right? And getting all the data and the systems and technologies talking with each other. What else you heard there from Craig and Sam?
The time lag. So data latency just simply isn't affordable today. You heard a perfect example of how that turns into immediate cash flow, let alone the improvement in the work experience, the satisfaction of the employees, right? And the productivity improvement so that you can actually start working on predicting issues as opposed to reacting to stuff. But, we are at a tipping point, Scott, where fundamentally this is table stakes again. You fundamentally have to have this kind of connectivity because your processes aren't getting simpler, they're getting more complex with a broader ecosystem of players that you need to deliver that single service.
Just a comment on
Go ahead,
that.
Sam, please.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to weigh in on there is it's pulling it all together, but also surfacing it in a way that's meaningful. And one of the things that we haven't talked about is exception management, right? It's having all the data from those point solutions, your proprietary systems in one place, but it's also surfacing it in a way that you can be proactive, be predictive, and use the data in a way to execute your business. And so I think our exception management is really unique in giving our customers the availability to make decisions faster for their business.
Excellent point, Sam. And I'm glad you weighed in there. It reminds me of something I think you said earlier, Jake, at the beginning. Folks, if you're still using a 1987 approach to shipping, bad things are going to happen, right? It is such a better way. If you don't do it for any other reason, right? Do it for your team. Investigate these new ways of changing how business is done. Okay, we just talked about the billing turnaround. I love that 3 days to mere minutes. Let's talk about something that Sam kind of touched on there, analytics, right? Analytics. So what role, Craig, has analytics played when it comes to, again, better, faster, more confident decision-making?
From an operational perspective, the carrier scorecards are key for us. We want to make sure that we're using carriers that are on time, that do what we're asked. Because when we talk about trade show deliveries or alcoholic beverages or other commodities that we work in, a lot of these are hot, need to be there at a certain time, and we can't deal with continual failures. So leveraging that, also just knowing our lanes, where we're good, where we're maybe struggling a little bit, so we can work on that with our carrier sales side of our team, really keeping a good understanding and overall kind of eye on the different parts of the business to make sure that, again, we're supporting the customer, we're providing competitive pricing, and just making sure that everything is kind of moving. Logistics is a messy business no matter what. So there's always going to be issues. It's how we respond to those issues, and leveraging analytics gives us that little leg up to make sure that in the background, we're able to focus on the important things.
I love that.
They call it the time value of data. Think about it. It reshapes everything you do and how you do it if you have it available.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Excellent point, Jake. And Craig, I loved one of the things you mentioned there, knowing our lanes, right? Both from a technical standpoint of transportation management, also the greater analogy there, kind of going back to Sam's, focus on your core competencies. Sam, what'd you hear there when it comes to analytics and the role they're playing there at BWS?
Yeah, I think they're using it and leveraging it company wide. I think what makes analytics really powerful is having the ability to narrow down by user. If I'm a carrier sales rep, if I'm an operator, if I'm the president of the company like Craig, we all need a different read on the business. I need to understand what's important to me. And I think with our analytics within the platform, they're able to get down to that level of granularity and understand by the kind of role within the organization. So if Craig just wants to quick snapshot of the business, he can get that. His carrier salespeople can work elsewhere. His operators can work elsewhere. And so it's meaningful in that way to each individual user.
That's a great call out, Sam. And Jake, to some of what Sam was sharing there, decision making at all levels of the business is really important. But Jake, what'd you hear there from Craig and Sam?
Yeah, Sam clearly called out the fundamental step change that we're going through, and it's about decision intelligence. And decision intelligence is different based on the role that we play within the supply chain. So the needs and the lens through which you're looking at it needs to have that actionability to be tailored, right? Because the actions that I'm going to take or the interventions I'm going to be involved with are going to be different perhaps than Greg or Sam or whatever, right?
Yep.
And so being able to have that where it's flexible enough is very good.
Excellent point. Jake, decision intelligence. If only I had more of that. Jake, Sam, and Craig, good stuff here.
You might have not bet on the Braves like you did.
Always picking on my Atlanta Braves. And by the way, congrats, as much as I hate to do it, congrats to Freddie Freeman and all the Dodgers fans out there. I tell you, Freddie is certainly a future Hall of Famer, incredible person too. Let's talk about delighting customers. Delighting customers is the order of the day. Sam and Craig, or actually the whole panel has talked about it earlier. I know you've got some great stories here, Craig. In fact, we have been doing our homework, Craig, to be prepared for a truckload of customer delight stories that you and the BWS team have been delivering. So tell us, when we think about taking customer experience to a whole new level, powered in part with your relationship with Turvo and how you're writing this current growth chapter, what are some of those elements of customer experience and new ways of delighting the customer? What are some of the stories that come to mind, Craig?
We're really about kind of customizing to the customer of what they need at that point in time, right? We've had a couple of things that have gone on where we've done massive projects within days, 100 truckload projects, get them to a cross dock to export the product out, and a few others like that where having the visibility and the reporting capability to customize to a project of that size, to have that shipped out in just literally 3 or 4 days, ingated back into the port, and other opportunities, even if it's just a one-off where we can send them a tracking link and it gives them peace of mind for a hotshot shipment out of California going back to New Jersey. Those are the type of things that we can flex to, leveraging all those different tools that we talked about here, whether it's reporting or like I said, a one link to a fully integrated tracking for the customer for that one shipment. We're always looking at how we can make that customer's experience better and easier for them, because not everybody wants to have a full portal view. Not everybody wants to have a report. Some people just want to see what's happening with that one thing, and they assume everything else is okay until we tell them. It gives us a proactive approach, multiple options for them, and then they select the best one that they want, and we run with that with them, and always keeping our eye on what the customer needs.
I love that, Craig and Sam. A couple things he shared there. One is just the depth of customization, no cookie cutters, right? And of course, communication on the level in a manner that the customer wants it. Some folks want a little bit, some folks want a lot. And then the other thing he touched on there was how they've been able to leverage those turbo links and tenants. What else would you add to that, Sam, before I circle back to Jake?
Yeah, I think it's like we've come full circle, right? We started out with the theme, which is visibility your way. And that's how Craig is being able to extend his customer experience. He can share where things are at any given moment in time, whether that's through a Turbo sharing link, which is simply an email that goes out to that customer, right? With
Yep.
real-time updates on that blue dot on the map. If they want to join the Turbo collaboration cloud, they can have a tenant and join and see a larger picture and get that reporting. So I think that the benefit for his team is being able to offer that down to his end customers, really visibility however they'd like to see it, which is great.
Love that. And Jake, what Sam described there, I can't help it. Have it your way at Burger King is what comes to my mind. So whether if you like your Whoppers with no ketchup, extra mustard and onions, a few extra pickles, no lettuce, or if you want it 100%, give me everything on it, or anything in between. It's about doing business the way the customer wants it, with them being the North Star. But what'd you hear there, Jake, between Craig and Sam?
But having the detail to ensure the quality of all the steps, right? Having the ability to understand the consequence of the service, right? So you're providing a restaurant menu that folks actually can tailor what their needs are against that, but it's still grounded in that premise of we have to do the job, which is fundamental.
Fundamental. That's right. And now I am starving, folks. I am absolutely starving, Sam, Craig, and Jake. All right. Good stuff. I wish we had a couple more hours, Craig and Sam. I know we're probably scraping the tip of the iceberg on the story and the partnership that y'all have had. Craig, congrats on all the big things, new chapters y'all writing at BWS. But that begs a question. What's next for BWS Logistics, Craig? I got my shades around here somewhere, but what's next? What does the future hold?
We're going to continue to serve our customers the best of our ability. We are looking at new opportunities every day. One, we're moving into the cross-border trade, Canada and Mexico. Stay tuned for more on that. Yeah, we're just going to keep providing the top-notch service that we do every day. It's really what we're doing.
That's outstanding, Craig. And is it fair to say new markets, new capabilities for the business, in part powered by how you're improving your ability to deliver and execute?
Absolutely. Like we said at the beginning, having a technology partner like Turvo and the tech stack that we can fully integrate is crucial to the future of our business. And again, we look forward to exploring all of that stuff, with Turvo.
All right, Sam. That's exciting to hear the next chapter at BWS. But, Turvo's been on the move. There doesn't seem to be too many finish lines at Turvo as y'all continue to find ways to innovate, which is great, while we still celebrate, the successes all along the way. What's next for the Turvo team, Sam?
It's the evolution of the product, and we've come so far, but technology never stops, and the innovation continues. And I think that's the most exciting thing on the horizon, is seeing where the product goes, really focusing on enterprise brokers and 3PLs, the world's largest and leading brokers and 3PLs, and building out that really great, holistic, comprehensive solution.
The Turvo community continues to grow, for sure, to your point, Sam. Jake, when you think about what Craig said about what's next for BWS in light of all the successes they've already had, or what Sam and the Turvo team are going next, what'd you hear?
They're following a shared path. The reality is, we talked the virtues of the value of connecting your supply chain today. We gave small examples of that. But what you heard from both is they're not resting. And that's a really important takeaway. You are roadkill in today's age if you are constantly reinventing your processes to give another edge, to give better capabilities to your team, to give better service to your clients, right? So fundamentally, both are focused on advancing, not staying still where they are. This is a dynamic game we're in, guys. It's not static. You're roadkill if you stay still.
Yeah. Good stuff, Jake. And quite the visual that comes to mind. You've ruined my appetite now, Jake. But all kidding aside, that's a really important key takeaway to take. And we're going to circle back and get one more patented key takeaway from Jake Barr, the John Wayne Global Supply Chain, here in just a second. But before we do, I want to make sure folks know how to connect with both of our guests. We've got some resources from Sam and the Turvo team. So let's do this, Craig. We got basketball season starting, and clearly, folks, if you don't know, he's a big Rutgers basketball fan. Trust me, he knows all the records. He knows the last time they won this and that and the other. He knows how many draft picks they've got this year. So when you're not ringside watching Rutgers basketball games and the upcoming championships. How can folks track you and the BWS team down, Craig?
Yeah, I mean, you could always find me on LinkedIn. Also, our website, bws-logistics.com. You can reach us there. We always look forward to feedback and connecting with folks.
Feedback is a blessing, as we heard it for the 1,000th time yesterday, I think, Jake, or the day before. Sam, similar question. Seems like Turvo is everywhere these days, everywhere you turn around. But how can folks connect with one Sam Foley and the good folks at Turvo?
Sure. So LinkedIn's great to connect with me. Turvo.com, pretty simple, is our website.
Love it. Good stuff there, Sam.
Thanks.
You bet. And I've enjoyed your perspective here today, you and Craig both. And Craig, thanks for carving some time out. But before we sign off here, all right, Jake Barr, we've come a long way from the story that we want to focus on here today, which I think is a unique one, but it's also a universal one. It paints a picture of the opportunity that so many other organizations should be not just investigating, but jumping on. But Jake, what is your key takeaway from our conversation here today?
There are a couple, Scott. Fundamentally, you have to understand with the speed and pace of business today, you've got to simply realize we've raised the table stakes for the level of technical capability that you have to manage your fundamental service and support processes. If you don't do that, you're going to have a situation where your people are overworked, overstressed, always reactive mode instead of progressively serving and keeping those clients and those channel partners happy and fulfilled.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, that's the game changer for business, right?
Yep.
The cost of losing a customer because you were behind your game and late on recognizing your need to change is not one you can make up easy.
Yeah. Well said. Finding new ways of improving the operations so your folks aren't working overtime, checking in on weekends, really protecting that family time. We talked about that in a couple of shows in the last couple of weeks. So Jake, very well said. All right. So big thanks, Craig Allan, president with BWS Logistics, where they are your logistics partner for the long haul. I like that, Craig. Great to have you here today.
Thanks for having me, Scott. It's great. Had a lot of fun.
You bet. And go Rutgers. I'll be keeping tabs of Rutgers and what they do this year. And backed by popular demand, Sam Foley, Chief Growth Officer with Turvo. Appreciate all that y'all are doing to change how business is done, Sam, and great to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure working with you guys.
And hey, the Cowboys are going to turn it around. Here we go.
I hope
They're going
so.
to turn it around.
I
They
hope
are.
so.
All right. So Jake say no, they ain't, but hey, all in good fun. We got a lot more football to be played. Jake Barr, always a pleasure. John Wayne, Global Supply Chain. Thank you for helping to interpret today's story for some folks that may not be as advanced in logistics as Craig and Sam are, but a great chapter of doing things differently here today. Thanks for being here, Jake.
Pleasure. Sugar infused. Let's go.
Oh, folks, so have a happy and safe Diwali for all that celebrate. Have a wonderful Halloween for folks that are leaning in and making their kids delighted here today. But you've got homework. You've had a great supply chain lesson in success and changing and innovating here today from Craig and Sam and Jake. Take one thing from the discussion, put it into practice. Let's change how business is done. It takes deeds, not words. With all that said, hey, connect with our speakers, check out those resources. But on behalf of the entire team here at Supply Chain Now, Scott Luton challenging you, do good, give forward, be the change that's needed. We'll see you next time right back here at Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for being a part of our Supply Chain Now community. Check out all of our programming at supplychainnow.com and make sure you subscribe to Supply Chain Now anywhere you listen to podcasts. And follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. See you next time on Supply Chain Now.